What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here, and today I'm going to break down what is, in my opinion, the ultimate gold finding character for single player in Diablo 2, and that is the Blizzard Sorceress. I will explain why I think she is better than the traditional gold find Travingle Barb in relation to single player and Battle.net. But like all of my previous build videos, timestamps will be in the description below, so if you want to bounce back and forth between the attributes, the skill tree, the gear, or the example runs are there for you guys to use, so please take advantage of them. Other than that, guys, I really do hope you enjoy this video. Let's jump in. Alright guys, so before we jump into the attributes, the skill tree, and the gear, there's three main points that I want to cover. And the first is, why do you even want to make a gold find Blizzard Sorceress? And really that's two reasons. One is that gold find does not suffer from diminishing returns, so you can stack all kinds of gold find to really just maximize the amount that you can farm every Travingle run. And the second reason tied into that is because gambling is very expensive, very costly, so you obviously need lots of gold, but it is one of the best ways in Diablo 2 to obtain really nice rare circlets or diadems or rare rings or rare amulets, like really nice like 2 to Paladin seals, 10 FCR, you know, Dexed all res amulets, or, you know, nice 220 circlets or diadems, that kind of thing. Mass gambling these types of items is a really efficient way of actually obtaining them. The second point that I want to touch on is, why is this character better than the Barbarian in single player specifically compared to Battle.net? And that is really just because she can stack a lot of gold find, not quite as much as a typical gold finding barb with a Merc, but she can do the runs very quickly. Now the runs that you're seeing beside me, they are far from an optimal Travingle map, but I can still easily farm like 1,000,000 gold every like 3 or 4 or 5 runs, depending on how much they drop. It's just a very effective way to get gold compared to the slower runs of using your mercenary to kill. You can stack more gold find with the traditional gold find Travingle running barb, but in my opinion, the just sheer quickness of doing these, you know, 20 to 30 second runs, depending on how good your map is, over the long haul of doing like half an hour or an hour or, you know, 2 hours of gold finding, it's just going to net you a lot more gold. And because you don't have to worry about things like realm down in single player, right? So the reason why your Trav barb excels on Battle.net is because your runs are like 2 or 3 minutes, you get a lot of gold, and then you avoid the realm down. Where this type of character, you can't do repetitive runs like that because of the stupid realm down issue on Battle.net. And the third and final point that I want to cover is that I do have a previously made video on my YouTube channel where I talk about Travingle farming specifically. So I go over things like map rolling, the magic line, how to counteract the Hydra bug, how to stack fire res on your mercenary, the best characters for farming Travingle in general. So if you do want to know more information about Trav farming specifically, do encourage you guys to check out that video. The link for it is in the description below. And I've also attached a community post that was written by a Diablo.net a community member, where he also does some explaining about the different Trav farming maps and the characters that excel as well. So I do encourage you guys to check out that community post as well. But that basically covers everything I want to talk about. So now we'll dive into the specifics of this character. The first thing that I like to go over with my build videos is the attribute distribution. This is very straightforward because it is soft core character. It's your typical max fight setup. So I have the bare minimum strength requirement to equip my gear, which it's actually 156. So this is 159. So I could actually pull 3 points off if I really want to, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, we want the bare minimum strength requirement to equip the gear. Dexterity, nothing. Energy, nothing as well. And then we have the remaining points put into vitality. For this character is actually currently with battle orders. I just wanted to show you guys almost 2,000 health with bow, with 750 mana. So definitely it's a little bit low for a high level Blizzard. The mana is a tad low. That's where probably a better inventory of different charms would improve the character, but that's still pretty decent stats. This character is level 98. And then the resistances are 48 fire, 30 cold, 60 lightning, and 51 poison. Fire you don't need to worry too much about because I'm using 2 dwarf star rings, so I have all kinds of fire absorb and magic damage reduced, so the hydras really don't do anything. Cold and poison we don't worry too much about, and then lightning, I guess ideally maybe you want lightning to be 75, but just decent all around stats. And I actually find that I don't really have too many close calls with this character as long as I play relatively safe. I mean, I don't want to be tele-stomping them, getting hit with amp damage, and getting attacked physically. But that basically covers all the attributes. So now we'll take a look at the skill tree. So the fire and lightning skill trees for this particular build are very straightforward. One hard point into warmth in the fire skill tree for the passive mana recovery. And then for lightning, we have one hard point into telekinesis, one hard point into teleport. Now, I did stick some extra points into static field. That is because the gear on this character is tailored towards gold find, so I don't have a lot of plus skills. Like, I'm not using a Rax, not 2 SOJs, I don't have like 3 skills from Hodo, that kind of thing. So I wanted to put some extra points to try to increase that radius a little bit. That's also because I don't have the best Travincle map either. I don't have them all tucked into a nice little tight pile where, you know, say 12-yard radius static field would be ideal. So I just went a little bit higher. Again, that's kind of, you can kind of tailor that depending on how good your gear is, your map, how they spawn, that kind of thing. The last skill tree to cover though is cold spells. This is where the majority of the skill tree is invested because obviously this is a Blizzard cold sorceress. So I have one hard point into frozen armor just for the passive defense buff, and then I have one hard point into Frost Nova, and then I maxed Ice Bolt, maxed Ice Blast, maxed Glacial Spike, and maxed Glacier. So I have a 5.5k Blizzard, which is pretty solid for a gold finding character. I mean, again, we're not using Death's Fathom or anything like that. Now for the mastery, I have some extra points put in here, more than one hard point, and that's really only specifically for Torque, because he's one of the Trav council members that always spawns cold immune, and Infinity will break it. But with Infinity working at 1/5 efficiency, he has something along the lines of, I think it's like 80 cold res once you break his immunity. I could be wrong, so I just have some extra points put into cold mastery specifically so that he has a lower cold radius, just Torque himself. But again, it's up to you how many points you want to invest. I have 16 harder points, so with my buff from my CTA, minus 100, so he's well into the minus. He's not minus 100 like the rest of the Trav Council, but again, that's up to you how you want to tailor it specifically. If you want to play around, I think you have a better setting. If you want to, let me know in the comment section below. If you think you'd change anything different, feel free to do so. And then I just have my remaining points put into Frozen Orb, and that's just because it's a synergy for Ice Blast, because I use Ice Blast on my main, and then I switch between Static Field and Blizzard. They're the other spells that I'm using. Alright, so now we get to take a look at the gear on this character, the exciting part. And I should have mentioned this earlier in the beginning of the intro, but I guess I can throw it in now with the gear, that this specific setup, I have just shy of 300% Magic Find, so 286, and then I have 1600 Gold Find. So again, you can tailor the gear a little bit differently if you want a bit more gold find or a little bit more damage or a little bit more MF, but I do feel like this is a really solid base setup for a Trav farming Blizzard Sorceress. So starting off with the weapon, I have a double lemmed Blade of Alibaba. Now in my opinion, this is the #1 weapon to use because it combines both a massive amount of extra gold, so 246, that's based on character level, plus an additional 150, and then I also get Magic Find based on character level, so it's a really good combination of both. As far as alternatives go, you could use a 6-lemmed Crystal Sword if you really want to crank gold find, you really want a little bit more percent gold find, but again, I think that the Blade of Alibaba, in my personal opinion, is a better blend of the two, excuse me. Now for the helmet, I am using a faceted Night Wings. Now you might be wondering why not like a lemmed Crown of Thieves. Well, I have 1600 gold find, so I really feel like it's better to sort of maximize your damage to kind of going the way of good clear speed versus having like 1900 gold find. So that's why I went with Night Wings. Now you could get a better blend of damage and gold find. You could stick a Lemrune in it or a facet, it's up to you really. Wealth for the armor, 300 extra gold find, again 100% MF, so that's really nice. I'm using Arachnid's Mesh as well with a 34 FCR Spirit, and then I do have this 2 to gold skills, 9 FCR, 48 gold fine crafted amulet. So another point that I should have noted is this is a 63 FCR Blizzard Sorceress. So between Spirit, Arachnid's Mesh, and this caster amulet, it helps me hit 63. I don't think it's worth going to 105 because then you're going to be losing gold find. Again, it's up to you. The boots are 79 gold fine, they have light fire and poison res, and they have 10 FHR. So between the 55 FHR and Spirit and the 10 on these boots, I hit that typical 60 FHR breakpoint with the Sorceress. For the rings, just 2 Dwarf Stars. These are both perfect magic damage absorbed, and they have 100 gold fine each. Again, life and fire absorb. They basically nullify the Trav Hydras. And then Chance Guards for more MF and extra gold find. These aren't perfect 40, so there is, again, room for improvement. And then on Switch, I have my typical CTA Spirit combo. It's kind of self-explanatory. This is a 564 CTA. So as far as your inventory goes, I think it's best to combine both gold find and keeping your resistances up. That is a problem with this character, is trying to combine like gold find and damage and your resistances. So all of these small charms, they're just different assorted resistance. Some have MF, some are like fire resistant gold find charms. So ideally you'd probably want like all of these small charms to be like 10 gold fine, 11 fire res, 10 gold fine, 11 light res, that kind of thing, which I don't have that type of wealth on single player. Then I have a Torch and Annie, which is kind of standard for any character because I'm using Pluggy. The skills, the res, the attributes, you really need it. And then all of these, well, I should say I have a Geed's Grand Charm. This is not a perfect gold find Geed's Grand Charm. It is a perfect MF though. So there is room for getting more gold find with 160 extra gold find Geed's Grand Charm, but that's just what I'm using because I feel like once you're at 1600, going to like, you know, squeezing out 17, 1800, at that point, if you really want to min-max, you can, but then the rest of this inventory is just extra gold find, plain, or extra gold find mana, or extra gold find resistance, grand charms. So I think ideally you'd probably want like, you know, 40 gold find, 1 to Blizzard Sorceress, like, or 1 to Cold Skill Sword, like a full inventory of those grand charms to maximize your gold find and your damage. But I mean, we have a 5.5 hit Blizzard, which on players 3 difficulty, it is it's a decent amount of damage. The runs go by fairly quick, which you guys will see in the example showcase of this character in action. So as far as your mercenary goes, the real main important piece of gear that you really need for a Blizzard Sorceress specifically is Infinity, and that is because it breaks Torque's cold immunity. If you don't have it, you kind of have to skip him every run. So you can run Trav without Infinity, but it's, in my opinion, it's kind of essential for a really high-end Blizzard Gold Find Sorceress. Now, as far as the body armor and the helmet, I'm just using Fortitude and my Chammed Vamp Gaze. This is kind of my typical setup, which you guys probably see in a lot of my different build videos. I didn't actually go with the this Trav specific setup of like Guardian Angel and Akira's combo to maximize the resistances, because I do find that maybe one like out of every 20 runs the Merc dies, as long as you kind of teleport in really effectively, cast your Blizzard static, everything really dies before he gets a chance to be run over by the Hydras. And even if he does, you're gold finding with the character, so it's not really a big deal to spend like, you know, 50k to resurrect the Merc, because you're bringing in so much gold. I mean, you can get more than 50k in a single drop from one of the council members with this specific setup. So again, it's probably not the ideal Trav setup. Maybe I'm being a little bit lazy and not wanting to hunt through my inventory to put like an Eth Guardian Angel and Eth Gear's combo, but I don't necessarily think you need it for this specific build in general. But that basically covers everything that I want to touch on: the attributes, skill tree, the gear, and the Merc Gear in the inventory. So now we're just going to do a series of sample runs here, and we'll just fill up our gold inventory 2 times. So let's just farm 2 mil gold in Travancore. So I'm going to set the player's difficulty to 3, which is the best combination for gold and for rune farming. And we're just gonna dump our inventory completely. And we're just gonna do enough runs to fill up my gold twice to kind of show you guys this character build in action. So if I go right from the very bottom up here, we'll spawn in this little group there. So you want to cast your Blizzard, and then Static, and then switch back and forth between Blizzard and whatnot. Ice Blast. Then you use Telekinesis and get that gold. So my K helmet. We're just gonna worry about gold today, unless a facet drops or a unique jeweler in this video. Just gonna focus on gold, but it is really like good stuff that can drop in terms of rings and whatnot. But it's one run down. I'll kind of approach them from this side as well, or sort of an angled side. Then they kind of all spawn inside. Again, far from the ideal Trav map that you want, but I don't really feel like re-rolling my map specifically for a good Trav map. I will eventually make a dedicated character for farming this specifically. There's like a nice little well there you can hit and stuff, which I don't really do. So 752,000 gold in 2 runs. So this will be a 3rd run, and we will have capped gold finds. So I'm gonna go approach from the top. I forget how they spawn. Okay, they're split into 2 different groups from the top. Merc, take him out. Okay, so I've already 3 runs. I've already maxed my gold find inventory, my gold find capabilities. They hit the test with a TK. There's a mill gold. 1 mill gold. We'll do another mill. This is why I said that I don't really think it's that big a deal to not run a Trav specific Merc, because if your Merc dies, I mean, we just made however many, you know, gold find per run, right? So it's not really too big a deal to resurrect him for 500k, or 50k, sorry, 500k. Rune. Wouldn't a jaw rune be epic in this video? 2 more runs, 2 more chances to get a jaw. Yeah, so if I approach him on that kind of angle, then they're all spawned together. Far from your ideal Trav map, but really just wanted to kind of show you guys what a dedicated gold find character is capable of, and then I do plan on making a 2nd Sorceress just specifically for this type of setup. One where I don't get too crazy. This is a 98 Sorceress, which don't want to have some stupid close call and die. Or it's not a big deal if you die on another source, but not level 98. Another run in the books. Let's see if we can get 6 runs, 2 mil. Coming out angle, this should all be there, yep. Blizzard, Static, Blizzard, Ice Blast. And I think my favorite thing is just TKing the telekinesis in the gold. Maybe my favorite. Oh, 700. Okay, 1 more run should cap it out. If I want to buff telekinesis, they're split into 2 different areas now. One, 2, 3. Mana burn. Thank you, Gleb. There we go. We'll find his max again. 20k shy of 1 mil. And then boom, TK the chest, 2 mil gold, just like that. And plus, when you're doing these type of runs, you're gonna get all kinds, if you want to take the time, all kinds of like rows for caster amulets and all kinds of jewels if you want to reroll grand charms, plus the chance for facets and high runes and whatnot. So it just really is really an effective and fun character to play. But it's very, very gear dependent and also map dependent as well, because these runs are furthest from an efficient map. But I really just wanted to kind of showcase this character in action so you guys can see what the gameplay is like and what the output you can expect for gold finding with the build would be. Well guys, there you have it. That is my Blizzard gold finding Trav build that I am currently using in Diablo 2 to farm gold. Really do hope you guys enjoy this video. Now, like I mentioned, going through the gear, there is definitely different variables and different options and room for improvement with the grand charms and the small charms and the rest of the gear, but it is kind of a solid platform base for what I think is an excellent gold finding character in Diablo 2. But guys, I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you could throw a like on it, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my Diablo 2 channel. Post new weekly content and stream on a consistent basis, so there's always new stuff to look forward to, and your support with a subscription would mean a lot. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a fan-frickin-tastic weekend, and I'll see you on my next Diablo 2 video or stream. Have a good one.